Hi, in this video we're going to reinstall our instrument panel. There are 4 things that you have to disconnect to get the cluster out. Speedometer cable, I've got a hard piped oil pressure gauge, and then after that you have 5 screws that are easy to access up front, holding the console on, and it should just tip right out. The problem you might run into is over the years people pull wires for various things, switch replacements and stuff like that. So the console wires, all the little white lights, and I think there's 3 hard plugs on there, they may have got intertwined. So when you try to pull this panel out as a unit with its harness, it may not work. But that's not a big deal. You just, as it's kind of falling into your lap, you just pull everything off of it and it'll be free. Then you just have to figure out where everything goes back on. But we're going to cover that in this video. Okay. Luckily I have the handy dandy 4-inch thick original shop manual, and this is the appropriate wiring diagram, and this is the instrument panel. So we will bring that over. So this is out of a 63, of course, and I'm just going to flip it this way so the orientation is correct. And here's our harness. This is in perfectly good shape, so I don't see any reason to replace it. And we know these 2 guys, if you've watched the main harness video, these 2 guys are right above the steering wheel. So this is obviously the correct orientation. So we need to figure out where these 4 lights go in these sockets. And these 2 plugs go here, and they're distinct enough to just go ahead and plug in because they're not the same. It's literally the only way they can go. So we are like halfway done already. So refer back to the diagram. So we've got temperature at the top, battery at the bottom. And these are just general. They don't really line up with the gauges at all. That's what these guys are. So these are just sort of generic lights that don't seem to, oh wait, tandem lock doesn't apply. But, okay, so I turned the panel over and I just took a flashlight and shined it. Like here you can see the tandem lock come on. I don't know if you can see that on camera, but the red light coming on. And nothing else is over on that side. And then in the center here, the little bow tie turns on and off. It's very subtle, so you may not be able to see it. But that's your high beam indicator. And then we have 2 over here. The red one's over speed, and the green one is the turn signal indicator. And it's just those 4. All the rest are just random lights that come on when you turn your lights on to illuminate the panel. So you can tell by the diagram, high beam is light green. So that's where this guy goes. These just press in. And these other 3, I'm really not sure where they should go. They have gray and gray on both sides of this, so yeah, this must just light up the speedometer. Let's make these as friendly as possible. Man, it sure is easier doing this and fishing around under the panel. We got this one remainder. What color is that? Kind of a gray. It shows grays all over. So grays are just the illuminators. So maybe it would make sense to, let's see what makes sense. Now I'm going to put it all the way on the outside. So we got the gauges taken care of. So on this side, we've got a plug that is, there's only one place this plug can go on this side, so that's easy. And that is for fuel gauge. And then for turn signal, it's the only one that has 2 wires. So this is the turn signal. And again, a gray, so that's just a generic light me up kind of thing. Though again, the overspeed light right there does not apply to us. At least I don't think so. According to the diagram, there should be a purple and green combo that's a general telltale. But I think I'm gonna put this up top. If you look closely, you can see a nice ring where it's been protected, where this guy is dirty. Tape is over the penetration for the oil pressure gauge. Ties in there. The downside about having a hard pipe gauge is, like right now, I could test fire the engine and everything without this in, but I can't because it's going to squirt oil into the down by the gas pedal. So we are done with this, ready to reinstall. Whenever I pull something off, I always bag and tag everything. So here's the bag for the dash. It's just 5 screws, but this was a bugger to get out. And no, it's not. The problem isn't here. The problem is on the panel. So when we put this back in, I'll show you why this was difficult to get out. Oh, and I went ahead and put the harness in this keeper here. I'm not sure if it should be this one. This one makes sense because this side needs to be free to connect. And just kind of visualize where your speedometer cable goes in, because you won't be looking through it anymore. You're gonna be looking up from underneath. It's always good to get a good mental picture just before you put it in. So we got gray. Let me just get some orientation here. So it's just as if it fell forward to you. These two connectors, it's obvious where they go. You've got the green wire is for the high beam, so that goes in the middle. The 2 gray wires go just for general lighting of the speedo. You've got a connector over here, that's the only place that can go. Another gray wire for general lighting. I may have missed this gray wire over here for general lighting. And then this guy over here is the turn signal. So that is a kind of a lighter blue and a black and white. I think it's black with a white stripe. Well, we just ran into a huge snag and I'm really not too happy about it. If you recall, the original harness, the 2 instrument cluster connectors connect here, and they work perfectly. And the new harness, if you watched earlier, instead of that solid body, you've got these 2 independent plugs. Now the 4-prong works. For some reason, this does not mate up with this guy right there. They're about the same size, so they just meet up and butt heads. That's really disappointing. So I'm gonna have to pull wires and swap these guys out. Would have been a lot easier to do that when the new wiring harness was not in the vehicle. This can be a real pain in the ass. So if you haven't done this before, to get these little guys out of the connector here, here's a connector. Look at it sideways, there's a little tab sticking up right there, and this is what catches. So again, look for the little slot there, and that's the tang goes on the slot side. So you can hear it click, and now it won't come out. So to get them out, you need like a little jeweler's screwdriver is what I'm using here. And again, go in the slot side, go in about that far. Sometimes you have to mess with them a bit. Got to get right on that tang, and then it'll pop out. So they can be a little frisky, and when you put them back in, make sure that tang is still sticking out pretty good there. Otherwise, just carefully bend it up. That's it. So now I got to do that, get all these wires out. This is easy. The ones inside the cabin are going to be, it's going to suck because it's going to be really tight quarters. So I'm going to be pulling these wires out and transferring to the old connector. So I made myself a bit of a comfortable perch here, and we'll get going. I've shown you how this works, so I'm not going to film it. I'm just going to pull those wires and transfer over to this connector. Just going to move them one by one so I can't make a mistake. Piece out the new harness. I've pulled the new wiring out of it and put it in the old connector, but here, so these two are supposed to go together. This is the female side, and you can see they're almost the same size. There's no way those are going to fit. So, I mean, to me, that's a horrendous screw up by, is it American Wire, whoever it is. So I will be contacting the vendor and suggest they fix that, or provide yet another adapter to go between the two. We still got one side of it done. We have to take the wires out of this guy and put them over in this guy. Oh, by the way, you find it. Yeah, I found this little tiny Craftsman screwdriver in my drawer, and for getting these terminals out of the connector, this thing is just perfect. It's made things really easy. And so this has turned out not to be as bad as I thought, but sure would have been easier to do it with the harness out of the rig. Right. So we've got our instrument panel connector all wired up. Put a little zip tie around it. Hold all the wires together. It's now screwed back on. I didn't screw it down super tight. It's real close to being tight, but I thought a little movement might come in handy. I'm not sure, because we got this guy in conflict, and I want to make sure that there's no strain put on the ignition switch. That's more important than the instrument panel. So next, we put the console back in. One more thing before I put the instrument cluster on. Speedometer cable. This nut, round nut, as you're goofing around in here, that will slide all the way down to an inaccessible place. And getting that back up with the dash on, the console on, will be a nightmare. So I'm going to wrap some tape around here, so if it slides back, it can only slide back so far. That's a helpful hint. So if you made it to this point in the video, take a minute to click on like if you got anything out of it. Don't worry, I'll wait. Did you do it? Okay, let's go on. Okay, so I put a duct tape on the speedo cable about an inch back, and just enough to keep it from the nut from sliding down into Never Never Land, which would be ungood. All right, we're going to put the console back in and get this thing fired up. And I know getting past these little tabs, there's 4 of them, 4th one over here, that seemed to cause me all the trouble. It should come out easily. These should just be stops to keep the travel from going too far in, but I may bend them down a little bit. I'll see how things fit up. In she goes. Okay, so the 4 connector ridge is okay. So it has to go this way. Now we're in. Okay, this one, the 4 connectors go towards me. Oh, I think we're in. They both seem to be equally seated. Cool, good to know. So all we've got left, the oil pressure connector here. I've taken the protective tape off, and the speedo. And the speedo looks like it's pretty well lined up. But we got flexibility there. Make sure our oil sender is out and available. Try to get it kind of close to where it goes. That should be pretty good. All right. There we go. Wow. And we're home. So I'm not going to screw it in case we need to move it to make our speedo or oil connector. And it's just 5 screws. And we will be done and ready to test. Okay, we've got the speedometer reconnected, and we've got the oil sensor, little piece of tubing. It took a while to get that started. You got to be really careful not to cross thread that. It is a 5/16 inch open end wrench is what you need. Little tiny guy. This guy. So 5/16 on that oil sensor. And all we've got left now are these 5 screws. And then we are officially done. All right. That's really a big screw up by whoever. Take 4.